Hey, good morning, everybody. It's off to work again. Into the sunrise. I'm on the Sportster 72 here in Bakersfield. It's in the mid 70s, going to be in the high 90s by the end of the day. I had a request to do a vlog on my history of motorcycles and my history of accidents, riding history. And as far as my motorcycles go, I have probably forgotten over half the motorcycles I have owned in my lifetime, because I started riding back in 1965 at the age of 15 and a half on a learner's permit in the state of California, which back then that's what you could do. You could ride a motorcycle, but you couldn't drive a car. You had to have a licensed driver with you in a car. Motorcycle, you could just hop on it and go. They didn't even require helmets back in those days. Anyways, the first motorcycle I rode was my older brother's Honda Super 90. He had got it to go back and forth to college on, and when he joined the Marine Corps, went off to boot camp, he left it at home, said I could ride it to keep it from going stale. Well, my parents were both against motorcycles, and they weren't happy about that. But I rode it anyways. And that is the only motorcycle I ever had an accident on. And that wasn't even my fault. I was coming off a freeway off-ramp, and some jerk in a four-door aqua green colored sedan came up and ran me off the off-ramp into the ice plant. So I went flying off into the ice plant at probably about 30 miles an hour. Ended up bending the gear shifter and the clutch lever and put a few scratches on it, but it wasn't too bad. And I didn't get hurt because it was all ice plant and it was pretty soft and it wasn't going that fast. And to this day, I have no idea why that idiot did that. But he was laughing and thought it was funny, and it purposely aimed at me and tried to ram the rear tire. So that's the only accident I've ever had on the road in over 48 years on a motorcycle. Now that's not to say I haven't had plenty of crashes out in the dirt on dirt bikes. Back when I used to ride dirt bikes, you push it to the limits, and most of the time you go over the limits and dump it going around the turns, crash doing jumps, all kinds of things. But I never got seriously injured, never even broke a bone. Just got cuts and scrapes and bruises. Now, as far as the motorcycles, when my brother came back from boot camp, my parents made him sell the Honda Super 90, so I was out of a bike. So I promptly went out and bought me a used Honda Scrambler. And I can't remember if it was like a 305cc or 350cc. That was way too long ago, but I know it was in the 300 somewhere. Somebody will know what they were back there in the 70s and the 60s. Well, actually that would have been in the 60s, because that was before I turned 18. I turned 18 in 68. So I had that Honda Scrambler. I used to keep it over at a friend's house. We'd go over there and go riding on it, go out in the hills, go dirt biking on it. Wasn't really a dirt bike, but I used it for that. And after that, there was a varied selection of Yamahas, Suzuki's, Kawasaki's, Hondas, and what I basically did is I'd buy a used bike, clean it up, repair whatever needed to be repaired on it, put a paint job on it, do a few mods on it, ride it for 6 months to a year, sell it, make a little bit of profit off of it, and then step up to another one. And I did that up till I was about 19. And when I was 19, that's when I got my first Harley. I bought a basket case chopper. It was a 59 panhead, 47 rigid frame, stretched and raked. Had a 6-inch overspringer front end on it. I took that and I had that for a long time, many years. And I would basically take it every winter, strip it down, repaint it, make some modifications on it, change the seat, change the tires and fenders and tanks and handlebars and just different things like that. But for the most part, it stayed the rigid frame and the 59 panhead engine and a 4-speed suicide shift, kickstart, and a 6 overspringer. At one point, I got a 62 swing arm frame, started building that up, was making it into kind of a cafe racer style. And of course, in between there, I was still buying little dirt bikes and riding those, tearing the crap out of them. And in '79, I got injured at work. I'm not going to go into that a whole bunch other than to say I'm lucky to be alive. I'm lucky to be walking. If it wasn't for the doctors, I'd be dead and I'd be paralyzed. And in the process of healing up and going through all that stuff, I was not able to ride anymore for a while. So my bike's just kind of set in the shed. I was finally able to get fixed up good enough to go back to work. Lasted a few more years. Ended up having another injury at work. Ruptured 4 discs in my lower back. Spent the next 2 years paralyzed, in and out, having surgeries, trying to get back to walking. After a while, the doctor said there was no way I'd be able to return back to work. No way I'd be able to return back to riding. And then if I wasn't lucky, I'd probably end up spending the rest of my life in a wheelchair. So I retired, sold off all my hot rods and my motorcycles, and concentrated on regaining my use of my legs. And as you can see today, I can walk, I can ride. So, guess I proved the doctors wrong. So then the question comes, if back in the mid-'80s I had to sell off all my motorcycles and hot rods and I was paralyzed, when did I get back into riding? And that's a good question. I'm trying to remember, I moved to Oregon for 5 years. During that 5 years, didn't have a motorcycle because we lived in the area where it snowed a lot. We only had maybe 3 months where it didn't snow. Oh, there was probably 5 years there. When I got back to California is when I got back into riding. So I guess from about 85 to 90, I was not riding. And I got back here to California, bought a Harley Sportster, started riding again, and I got one time I bought a Yamaha 650 for $100, rebuilt it, sold it, and then bought a Honda Goldwing. Fixed it, rode it, sold it, and sold the Harley Sportster. And then in 2001, I got the big custom chrome kit bike Softail that I have now. And then last year I got the Sportster 72. So that's pretty much all the bikes, the history of bikes I can remember. Like I say, in the earlier days, it's too far back. I had way too many bikes. I can't remember them all. It'd probably be easier to say which bikes I did not own. Than the ones I did own. I had so many. Some I'd only have for a couple months, you know. Long enough to rebuild the carburetor, put in battery, tires, repaint it, ride it for a month and sell it. And like I say, as far as accidents, I only wrecked on the road once, and that was when the jerk off ran me off the freeway off ramp when I was 15 and a half. So it's probably not quite as exciting as you were hoping for. But that's it. The one that meant the most to me was that Harley Panhead. And that's the one I wish I still had today. So I don't know how riding a rigid frame would be with all the injuries I got. So I'm going to just say goodbye for now and finish riding to work. And hope this came out. And as you can hear me good enough. Bye-bye. Okay, and there we are, safe and sound at work.